Hello everyone, welcome back to Becca's Book Nook. Today I'm going to be doing my May wrap-up and my June TBR. So May was a pretty good reading month for me since I am finally done school, though I have been volunteering and working, so it's still been pretty crazy, busy, but I have still been trying to find days to read and to sort of read for full days at a time so I can get some stuff done. So I did end up reading 8 books this month, and I had 3 5-star reads, which is amazing for 1 month. That's a really phenomenal reading month for me. I sort of got off track at the end of from the middle of the month onwards, just because I have been starting to work a lot more and volunteering is taking up a lot of my time. But I just wanted to talk about the 8 books that I did read this month, how I rated them, how I felt about them, and then as well talk about the few books that I have on my TBR for June. I obviously do want to read a lot in June, July, and August, but I only have, I think, 4 books on my June TBR, just because I've been mood reading a lot, so I want to just have the 4 book set that I definitely want to read, and then be able to sort of just pick and choose other books. I just got a library card, so I'm hoping to read a lot from the library. And yeah, that's all I want to say for my beginning spiel. Let's just jump into the books I read this month. The first book that I read this month was Book Lovers by Emily Henry, of course. I don't have the physical copy because I lent it to my friend. I did just recently do a video on Emily Henry, which you can watch now if you want to hear some more in-depth thoughts about Book Lovers and the other Emily Henry books that I have read. Book Lovers was my first read of the month and my first 5-star read of the month. Of course, you guys know how I feel about Emily Henry, and I was so excited to read this book. So obviously it got 5 stars. I loved Nora and Charlie, our 2 main characters. I fell in love with the actual story, and I really connected to it as an older sister, which I do expand on a little bit more in my full Emily Henry video, so I'm not going to talk about it too much. However, I did just want to say I loved this book. Emily Henry knocked it out of the park again, and I definitely think everyone should go read it. Going along with that a little bit, I did also reread People We Meet on Vacation this month, which was also a 5-star read, obviously, but we knew that because I've already read it. I was just really craving this book after reading Book Lovers, and I missed the story, so I wanted to do a little reread and see if I still loved it as much as I did the first time I read it, and I did. It is still one of my all-time favorite books. After that, I did get into my third 5-star book of the month, which was A Gentleman's Guide to Vice and Virtue by Mackenzie Lee. And this book really pleasantly surprised me. I started out by listening to the audiobook, and I thought I was just going to listen to the whole thing on audiobook, but I think I actually got 11 chapters into the book, so maybe this much of the book. And then it was a really nice day outside, so I just finished the book in an afternoon, and it was amazing. I absolutely loved the characters. Monty and Percy were adorable. I loved their relationship. I loved sort of being in Monty's shoes and seeing his difficulties that he's been facing and how he deals with them, because he definitely has some negative ways of dealing with them, but I think he had some great character development over the course of the book, and I really enjoyed it. I'm not sure if I'm going to continue on with the rest of the series. I think there's 2 more books, maybe 3? No, 2, because it's the siblings. So we've got the sisters book. I don't know why I can't remember her name right now. Felicity. We have her book. Something about petticoats, the Lady's Guide to Petticoats and something. And then we have the youngest siblings book that I think is set at least 10 years, not more than 10 years. He's a baby in this book, so I'm assuming probably 17 or so years after this first one. But I would definitely recommend this book to everyone. It is an adventure. It is a little bit of a mystery, and I really loved it. I'm so pleasantly surprised that I enjoyed it as much as I did, and I think I would definitely read something else by Mackenzie Lee in the future. I really enjoyed the way she wrote. The next book that I got into this month was To Have and to Hoax by Martha Waters, which I finally got to and enjoyed after waiting since September. I think it's been on my TBR since September, and I just read it. But I'm so happy that I did. I really enjoyed it. I think I rated it 3.5 out of 5 stars, I think, or 4, somewhere in that range. I did not enjoy it as much as To Love and To Loathe, but I still definitely did enjoy the story. I liked both Violet and James. I really enjoyed their characters, and I thought the whole premise was really interesting. I've been having a lot of fun with second chance romances recently. I did also just make a video about some of my favorite second chance romances, so you can go ahead and give that a watch if you are interested in that trope. But yeah, this was a really interesting story. I don't get to read a lot of stories about couples that are already married and going through their own struggles. So that was a really interesting perspective to pick up in this book, and I really enjoyed it. The next book that I got into this month was The Inheritance Game by Jennifer Lynn Barnes, which has also been on my TBR for quite a while now. I feel like I wanted to read this book in either September or October or something like that. I can't really remember. It's been on my shelf for forever waiting to be read. Anyway, so I read this one. I gave it 3.5 out of 5 stars, and I will say that I was expecting to like this book a lot more than I did. And I think one of the things that I was not a huge fan of, which is just like a me thing personally, it just felt very YA to me. And I love reading YA, but I think, I don't know, other YA series that I love, like Throne of Glass, and what else? Why can't I even think of any? I loved the Red Queen series, Throne of Glass, the Gilded Wolves, that sort of series, and Six of Crows. Those books don't necessarily feel young or like adolescent to me, I guess. I feel like I enjoy them a lot in that they don't feel like immature or meant for a younger crowd. But something about the Inheritance Games really felt like it was meant for a younger audience than me. And I am 21, so it is young adult, and I understand that it is meant for a younger audience than me, but I've just never really read a book from that genre that really felt like it was meant for that audience before. I hope I'm making some sort of sense. I'm making sense in my head, but I'm really starting to think that this is not going to translate well coming out of my mouth. Regardless, I gave this book 3.5 out of 5 stars because I really enjoyed the ending of the story. I loved the solving the mystery and just how everything ties together. That's normally my favorite part of a book, is knowing that everything ties together. And I was able to predict a few of the things, which I don't know, I feel a little bit meh about. It was just overall a very middle of meh book. Like, I don't know, it just wasn't anything special for me, and I was really thinking it was going to be something special, so it was a little bit of a letdown. I still enjoyed it. I don't know if I'm going to be reading the second book, but overall, it was not terrible. I'm not mad I read it, but definitely not one of the best this month. The next book that I read this month was Not That Kind of Guy by Andy J. Christopher. This is my second book that I've read by her. I have also read Not the Girl You Marry, and I really loved that one. I think it got like 4.5 out of 5 stars. I like really loved it. And this one I did not enjoy as much. It was very middle for me. It was a 3 out of 5 stars. I enjoyed the characters. They were very well developed. Andy, sorry, not Andy, that's the author's name. Bridget gave me very, she gave me like badass woman vibes. She's, was just a really strong, powerful woman. The main male character was cute, but I definitely felt like he could have been written better. There was a few things that I took issue with. The fake dating was barely there. The fake marriage was just underdeveloped. It just didn't really do it for me as much as the first one did. I also was completely unaware that these books all tied together until like almost 100 pages into the book probably. So I feel like I would have liked to know that before I went in. I should have done my research better, I guess. But overall, pretty good book. Once again, not my favorite I read this month. Not my favorite rom-com I've read in a while, but it was okay. The next book I read was another subpar sort of romance book for me that I also had crazy high expectations for, which is The Cheat Sheet by Sarah Adams. I have heard so much praise for this book that I was really, really excited for it. And I am a little bit conflicted about my rating for this book because I really didn't like the beginning. I really didn't like the ending, but I really enjoyed the middle, which is the only reason why it got those 3 stars. The middle section was really good. The part where they were actually doing the most of their fake dating and they were having their little awkward sort of tension around each other was good because I love a fake dating trope, but it was just frustrating to me that I don't know if it was maybe because we like had the guy's point of view, but I was about to say that I really didn't like that both of them were like in love with each other and just didn't communicate for their whole relationship and like know that they were in love with each other. But that is sort of like what happens in People We Meet on Vacation as well. And I don't know if it's maybe because we had both point of views that I really did not enjoy this one as much as a book like People We Meet on Vacation. But there was just something about the fact that they both were so obviously in love with each other and all they really needed to do was tell each other. And it was one of those like, I know he could never look at me the way I look at him. And then he's like, but I know she could never look at me the way I look at her. And it's like, guys, are you kidding? Like, figure it out. Like, just tell each other. It's ridiculous. Miscommunication trope at its worst. It was annoying. So the tiny middle section was the only good part of this book. I don't think I'd recommend this one to anyone. The characters themselves were okay, I guess. Nathan was pretty hot. And my favorite characters were probably like the friend group. I think if Sarah Adams were to continue the series and write them about the friend group, I would maybe be interested in reading about the friend group more because the football team friend group was good. This is going to be a spoiler, I hated that they got married. I hated it. I hated the marriage. I hated that it happened like a second after they told each other they loved each other. It was unrealistic. It was ridiculous. I thought it was dumb. I didn't like it. The last book that I read this month was Monster by Walter Dean Myers, and I did read this one at the school that I'm volunteering at. We read it in one of the C-level English classes that I'm volunteering in, and it was a really interesting one. I gave this one 3 out of 5 stars as well because I found it really interesting. It's definitely just not a book that I would gravitate towards, and it is written in like script format, like a movie script, and that was really interesting to read as well. And it's just, not a genre I would gravitate towards. It's all about a court trial, which was really fascinating to me. I'm glad I got the opportunity to read it because I definitely would not have picked it up on my own. It is about 16-year-old Steve Harmon, who is being trialed for murder, and you basically get to read the entire court case and decide how you feel he should have been judged, if he should have been guilty, not guilty, or innocent. And it basically goes through the whole court trial and you learn different pieces of information about him and the robbery that happened and the murder and just the group of people he is with, and just a bunch of information is given to you at intervals of time so that you can build up your own opinion of how you feel the case should have went. And it was really good. There's a movie based on it, and it is on Netflix, I believe. So if you want to check out the book or the movie, go do that. It was definitely worth it. It'll be worth your time for sure. Those were the 8 books that I read in May. I'm really happy with all of them that I read. There were quite a few subpar romances. I'm hoping to kick that up a notch for the next month and see if we can read some more good ones. Now I'm just going to jump into the 4 books that I hope to read in June. The first book that I want to get to in June is To Marry and to Meddle by Martha Waters, which is the 3rd book in her... Oh, great. What is this? Oh, what is this series called? There's a series called... I don't remember what the series is called. I talk about it in one of my other videos too. I think my Second Chance Romance video. I can't remember what this series is called, but this is the third one in the series with To Have and to Hoax and To Love and to Loathe. And this one is about Emily and Julian, who we meet in the first two books, and who I am very excited to read about because I really like Emily. I think she's an interesting character, and Julian's cute and maybe a little slimy, but in a good way, and I'm excited to see where this goes. So I'm interested to read this one this month. Next, I do want to read Addicted to You by Krista and Becca Ritchie. I have heard so many good things about this book, and I was gifted it all the way back in December, so I really want to jump into it and see if I enjoy it. It's about to tell me what it's about. She's addicted to sex, he's addicted to booze. The only way out is rock bottom. I feel like this might be something to do with fake dating, maybe not. I feel like they come together to help each other get over their addictions. Something like that. Maybe it's not fake dating. That wouldn't be fake dating, I guess. Anyway, not really sure what this book is about, but I'm excited to jump into it because I've heard so many amazing things about it, and it was recommended to me from a friend that bought it for me. So, hoping I enjoy it. I'll keep you guys updated. Then I do want to read the first book in the Witcher series, which is The Last Wish. My cousin did gift this to me at Christmas once again. It might have been way earlier than Christmas. I think he might have given it to me for my last birthday. I think this has been on my shelf for a really long time and I have not gotten into it. So that's the game plan. I need to read this book. It's, oh my gosh, only 300 pages. I'm hoping I can bang it out, and if I like it, there are a million more in the series. So I'm excited to read this one. Hopefully get back in my fantasy era, and hopefully this will get it. Then I have The House of the Cerulean Sea by T.J. Klune, which I think is also a fantasy that I have also had on my bookshelf since September. I am really excited about this book. I've seen nothing but praise for it, and I can't believe it's taken me this long to get into it. I'm really hoping I enjoy it. Once again, don't really know what it's about, but I'm hoping I really like it. That's it for today's video. I hope you guys enjoyed hearing me talk about the books that I read in May, as well as the books that I hope to read in June. Please give this video a like if you enjoyed it, and don't forget to subscribe to my channel if you're not already. I post new bookish content every Wednesday that you do not want to miss. I hope you all have a phenomenal rest of your day, and I will see you next week. Bye!